Welcome to Capitol Forum, interviews with Washington area business and policy leaders, giving us a glimpse into their lives, their careers, and how they're making a difference here in the greater Washington area. I'm your host, Jack Kalavritinos. Today's interview kicks off a series of conversations with senior leaders at the McCormick Group. I'd like to welcome Lyles Carr here at Bigwig Media Studios at the historic Willard Hotel. Lyles, welcome today.
Thank you, Jack. I'm pleased to be here.
Really happy to have you and really talk about you, your career, and really how you make a difference, which frankly, I have never met anyone who has done as much as you have over the years.
I appreciate the overstatement, but thank you.
You're senior vice president at the McCormick Group, been with the McCormick Group 46 years, remarkable. But let's go all the way back. I know you're a proud Episcopal High School grad and also a UVA grad. I had a chance to go to John Paul Jones Arena and see Duke play UVA, and it just reminded me of how wonderful everything is about UVA, the history, the academic excellence, as well as just the beauty of Charlottesville. But tell us about what led you there.
It's a terrific school, and I went from, as I say, the high school to the university back when they were the places to be, I guess. And I got recruited to wrestle. Mike Caruso was putting together a wrestling team down there, and a fellow that had been a captain for him at Lehigh and a captain of Episcopal suggested he tap me on the shoulder, and it was terrific. I joined a fraternity. I wrestled on the varsity the first year and medaled in the ACC tournament. But it was really the history of both institutions, both Episcopal High School, which I think really taught me the principles of being a gentleman and candidly service and a good academic education, but also a great place to be. It was a fun community and a tight community, much smaller today then than it is now.
That is great. Well, as a true veteran of executive search, and like I said, 46 years, you've been representing the firm with business and civic organizations throughout the DMV here. And from what I understand, you provide strategic guidance to your consultants across a wide range of practice areas because you all have a wide range: law and government affairs, federal and commercial technology, associations and nonprofits, also the construction industry, financial services. You are a busy man, and you're a busy firm.
Well, and life sciences as well. Yeah, I started as an account executive years and years ago. I worked a couple of different practice areas. My primary area for the longest time was law and government affairs, where we started working with partners in law firms before anybody thought they actually moved. And that's evolved into a broader relationship. So as you say, I mostly now represent us in the business and civic community outside the firm, both regionally and nationally. And strategic guidance across that range of practice areas, because in my role, I have an opportunity to connect with leaders in virtually any of those areas. And that includes life sciences, by the way.
Which is the world that I had come from, both in government as well as in the private sector. So I know that you've been substantially involved in regional, civic, and philanthropic activities. And it really does seem like it's just part of your DNA, your job description. I want to note that you have received multiple recognitions as Washingtonian of the Year multiple times. You've been named Leader of the Year, both from the Greater Washington Board of Trade and Leadership Greater Washington. So, you're up against some stiff competition, I'm sure, and yet you keep getting this recognition from your peers.
I think they look at me when they need a little comic relief. And candidly, I'm very honored by those acknowledgments. You accept them because they give you an opportunity to do two things: thank some people that support you, your colleagues, your family, others in the community who really deserve to be thanked, but also it's an opportunity to deliver a message, to perhaps a call to action for other people in the community to do more.
Tell me about your motivation to spend such a significant amount of your own work time on this kind of civic engagement.
Well, Marion Wright Edelman, who was the co-founder of the Children's Defense Fund, once said that service to others is the rent we pay for being. And I think that's right. I feel a personal call to service. But it's also a corporate imperative We know that there's more to business than just the financial bottom line. And I think business leaders in Washington understand that too. There's an expectation that the real leaders in business will also contribute. But we all know that the only way that business thrives is if the community is healthy and there's an opportunity for all of the people that live and work in that community also thrive.
You were practicing corporate social responsibility before that became a term.
Well, yeah,
you
we
know?
didn't realize it's a good term, and candidly, corporations, it's motivated self-interest. Like I say, it's difficult to be successful in a community that's not healthy, and where the people in that community don't have the opportunity for a high quality of life. And so, yeah, it's an expectation. I mean, leaders in this community, we want to be leaders in this community, and like I say, it's in my case, it's also something of a personal calling.
Let me ask you this, since you're native Washingtonian, I am as well, my family. What are your thoughts about sort of the future of the greater Washington area as we are now roaring out of COVID and, looking towards 2023 and beyond?
We've got to continue to think of ourselves regionally, not parochially. Amazon showed us this, really. We came together around attracting Amazon to this region. And I've talked to regional economic development officials pretty much across the DMV. And the consensus is that, yeah, we would have loved to have them come to Prince George's or Montgomery or Fairfax or whatever. The fact that they came here. Well, if you're in Montana, you don't say, I'm from Fairfax. You say, I'm from Washington. Right? People think of Amazon in the Washington area of the DMV, and that attracts talent here. It attracts other companies. You look at that, what's following, all of a sudden Boeing has relocated their corporate headquarters here. Raytheon relocated their corporate, right? And so we need to continue to think as a region, and that's our biggest struggle because we're so diverse. I mean, Maryland, Virginia, the district, there it's difficult to see three more diverse communities all lumped together, and yet we've got to work in unison. And I think that's what we'll continue trying to do.
That's great. I mean, I guess that's really the great value of the Greater Washington Board of Trade is that what I've learned about them over the past several years is that how many specific communities are under the umbrella and jurisdictions. And so it's a business group, but it also involves local governments and state governments to try to create this kind of umbrella regional organization that you've been involved with.
I think the Greater Washington Board of Trade, there's a new initiative led by Russ Ramsey and Ted Leonsis and Peter Scherer. That's the Greater Washington Partnership. The Northern Virginia Chamber thinks of the region not as Northern Virginia, but as the DMV, and it simply brings the voice of business in Northern Virginia to that regional table. And so all of those groups are working separately, but now how can we see that they all work more in a more coordinated fashion and work more cohesively together?
Well, let's wrap things up by focusing back to the McCormick Group and how you and your senior colleagues really encourage the organization, the McCormick Group, and your partners and colleagues to give back.
Well, as I said, we believe it's more than just the financial bottom line. And so how can we engage in the community? How can we help the community move forward? And we do it largely through in-kind services. When possible, we'll provide preferred rate or pro bono services, particularly to nonprofits, but also in volunteerism. We believe strongly in that, and so we give our people 6 paid days of leave to volunteer. And wherever they want to do it, their children's school, they want to work with a missionary group overseas. There are no restrictions as long as it's a 501c3 or a school or I guess local government. But the opportunity for them to enjoy and the reward of that you really feel by making a difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. You are really a Washington legend, and I really appreciate you joining us today and really sharing those thoughts and perspectives.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, Jack. Thank you.
Thank you.